What's up? We all know that evolution took millions of years to create rich fauna and complex organisms. But in the last 2,000 years, things have changed quite rapidly. When man became the most powerful of all living creatures, it was as if the world had gone mad and all aspects of life, now absolutely everything, erased. Don't you agree? Look at what the world looked like 50 years ago, 10 years ago. It's pretty different from today. But in this video, we're going to talk about what will look like in the near future, how technology will affect our appearance, and we even have more interesting things here. Be sure to watch the video till the end, get comfy, and let's get started. If you've seen images of ancient people at least once, you understand. They're not very similar to you and me, except maybe for some very distant relatives from a very remote province. Rough features, not the most beautiful posture, mighty brow arches and jaws, huge hands, and complete lack of hygiene. Well, you get the point. In the last 10,000 years, there have been significant changes in human life, and the human body has had to adapt to them. For example, agriculture and cooking on fire changed our jaws and internal organs. Climate changed our hair. Human pelvises became more contracted, but people themselves taller and fatter. Plus, we have medicine now, so that's made it possible to cope with many diseases. But where's it going? Oh, scientists have a lot of options. We can't predict exactly how human genes will change, but who's going to forbid theories? We'll start with the teeth. Our jaws are already much smaller because we no longer have to tear raw meat with our teeth. But perhaps in the future, the teeth will also be smaller if the food is even softer, and wisdom teeth will finally stop growing. Our descendants are going to save a great deal on not going to dentists anymore. The brain, on the contrary, can increase in volume.
That's the brain.
Wow, that's amazing.
On the one hand, it's logical. Humanity is developing, people are getting smarter, and they need a place where all the necessary information can fit. But on the other hand, it contradicts the rules of modern anatomy. Now, the human head has exactly the same size so that new people can come into the world without any problems. If the head becomes bigger, the pelvis should change too. But this will break all the bipedalism, though. Half of humanity unable to move normally doesn't sound like such a good plan, but it's likely that by then scientists will have come up with something. Human height must change too. For the last 300 years, we as a species have only been growing, but it can't last forever. Man has a limit to growth because the mechanical requirements for very large body tissues are different from medium-sized bodies. In other words, one does not simply walk into mortar. Its black gates are guarded by… Oh, wait a second. Wrong script. Well, there's a growth limit. One simply does not turn into a 13-foot giant holding on to all the modern parameters, plus the planet is overpopulated. In order to consume less energy and feel comfortable, people must shrink in size. Compared to the hunter-gatherer time, we could only meet a few people a day. It was possible to grow freely in all directions. Now mankind has to adapt to life in densely populated cities, live in small apartments, drive small cars, and take up as little space as possible. This may influence the evolution of the future. Are we going to be like this? And of course, gadgets. They are usually criticized, but it's gadgets that will also have an impact on evolution.
I brought you all new gadgets. Check it out. Cell phone, internet access, satellite TV.
The thumbs of modern teenagers are much better developed than those of previous generations. They really use them a lot. However, it's not clear whether this feature can be genetically transmitted or our descendants will simply train their thumbs from a very young age. And that would be considered a sign of beauty. We shouldn't forget about scientists too. These scientists and their work to change human bodies. Even today, anyone can transform themselves almost beyond recognition. You only need money. And what happens in thousands of years? Appearances are likely to begin to be varied on a genetic level. People will look as beautiful as possible for their era. Honestly, we can't even imagine what that would be. Given the way beauty has changed in at least the last 1,000 years, anything could happen in the future. Literally. Will a double nose come into fashion? No ears? A fluffy back? Long toenails? Just not all that at once, please. But not all predictions of future evolution can be called pleasant. Meet Mindy, the girl who lives in the year 3000. She has a short, muscular neck. It's not because Mindy goes to the gym, it's because of computers and gizmos. She looks at a screen most of her time. People in the future will become so dependent on technology that their spines will bend into an arc. And to live in that position, you have to have strong neck muscles. But Mindy doesn't seem really happy about it. There's something strange about the hands of the girl from the future, too. At least one of them has a text claw and an elbow bent at a right angle. The text claw is the same thumb that we use to text or scroll. In the future, it'll become stronger and even longer. It's the opposite for the elbow. The arm is constantly bent, so it may not straighten at all. In short, it'll just be a smartphone stand. At this point, we need to turn on the tragic music and lament about what humanity is turning into. Do you want more tragedy? This theory assumes that the people of the future will have a small brain. That's because science will help us not to worry about survival, and if we don't have to worry about these things, we don't have to think too much. Mindy's latest change may be the weirdest thing. It's her eyes. Constant eye contact with screens can cause headaches, fatigue, and vision impairment. And you know how people of the future can handle that? Grow a third eye! Okay, technically we all have a third eyelid, or rather its remains. Reptiles, for example, have got a full third eyelid. It allows you to protect your eye or moisturize it without losing sight. Mindy, and with her, our descendants will learn to blink without closing their eyes. It looks like Mindy's a reptiloid. But let's be honest. Technology not only spoils us, if it wasn't for the advancement of science and medicine, many of us would simply not be here. So what does the high-tech future have to offer humanity? As a matter of fact, anything. We're already using implants to fix some flaws in our bodies. For example, we're using pacemakers. Not to mention some more unusual and cool devices like hand prosthesis that are controlled by brain signals. And before, a man who lost his legs would get wood to replace them, at best. Well, sometimes a parrot included. Modern prostheses are of such quality that they allow for any kind of activity, from dancing to playing football. Prostheses are printed on 3D printers. They're implanted into the body. They replace bones. The muscles are pumped with the help of various devices. What about the hearing aids? By the way, it's also a scientific achievement. In the past, the maximum available to humans was some kind of metal funnel attached to the ear. Today, hearing aids connect directly to smartphones, can suppress unnecessary noise, and even play music. And it'll only get cooler over time. It's possible that in the future, implants will help us improve our physical abilities. For example, people will implant an artificial eye with a camera that recognizes different color frequencies and has additional visual effects. You look, you blink, add filters, and immediately post it on Instagram. Handy. And the exoskeletons that will let you forget about physical fatigue. One serious operation in the future, and here you are. Practically another Wolverine, only without the claws. But it can be solved as well. In the future, you'll probably be able to have any prosthesis implanted for a certain amount of money. Even horns or huge wings. 30% discount for exoskeletons. And you know what else will change humanity? Space exploration.
That's unreal. 1.2 kilometers per second downrange distance.
So far, people have only gotten to the moon and are looking towards Mars, but in thousands of years, we'll probably go a lot further and will adjust to the new conditions. The people who colonized other planets will have bigger eyes. To modern man, they would seem unrealistically big. Aliens are usually represented with such eyes, and all because of the lack of lighting away from the sun. Also, the skin will be more pigmented to reduce damage from harmful UV radiation. Without the ozone layer, it's hard to cope with. And scientists also expect people to have thicker eyelids. And maybe there'll be 3 of them after all. Other changes to be expected: thick skull bones to protect the brain from harmful radiation, large nostrils for easier breathing, thick hair to reduce heat loss in an unfriendly environment, or maybe we'll have more hair like our distant ancestors. In cold climates, our fat layer can also increase. Thousands of years from now, we may even have more arms and legs, simply because the usual amount won't be enough after all. With low gravity, muscles will change their structure. We may be implanting bacteria so that the cells can join together again after heavy radiation. I mean, we will be able to experience what now only tardigrades are doing. Maybe we'll breathe by passing oxygen through the blood, not the lungs. Maybe we'll have a double set of organs in case the original one fails. Maybe the people of the future will be half android. You know what? We'd like to see the results of the evolution. So if there are scientists among you who are developing a remedy for immortality, let us know in the comments below. And if you're not a scientist, just tell us, what do you think the man of the future will be like? And the likes. Don't forget the likes.